In 1915, at age 32, French composer Edgar Varese boarded a ship to the US for a short visit. He never really left. He married an American and made New York his primary residence. Musicologist Robert Morgan writes, he eventually came to see his move to the US as a symbolic rejection of his European past. For the first time, he later recalled, with my physical ears, I heard a sound that kept recurring in my dreams as a boy, a high whistling C-sharp. It came to me as I worked in my West Side New York apartment, where I could hear all the river sounds, the lonely foghorns, the shrill peremptory whistles, the whole wonderful river symphony, which moved me more than anything ever had before. He soon began work on Amérique, which was, according to critic Philip Huscher, Varese's New World Symphony, a love song for a wondrous and stimulating new urban environment and a glorious shout of liberation. It is in Amérique that Varese elevated rhythm to new prominence, granted percussion instruments more importance and complexity, and developed a sound world dependent not on melody and harmony, but on timbre, texture, and dynamics. Varese saw himself as a revolutionary creator of new sounds. He preferred the term organized sound to music and avoided the limitations of conventional orchestral instruments. Although he later found new timbres in electronic music, his early quest for organized sound between 1929 and 1931 resulted in Ionisation, the first major work written solely for percussion instruments. Premiered at Carnegie Hall in 1933, Ionisation was written for 13 percussionists playing over 40 instruments. In the work, what Steve Schick calls groups of affinity are combined based on their acoustical properties: register, articulation, resonance, and timbre. These groups are featured individually or interact as masses of sound with or against each other. Our setup below was designed to separate the groups of affinity, helping listeners see the process by which Varese gradually transforms sounds by combining, juxtaposing, replacing, and modifying the properties of each instrument through different performance techniques. In the back row, we see the bass drum, gong, and tam-tams, whose sound envelopes are characterized by an attack and long decay in the low register. To their left, we see high and low sirens, which create long ascending and descending waves of sound. They are occasionally joined and mixed with the lion's roar. The three players in the back left play, among other instruments, sleigh bells, tambourine, and castanets, creating a bright, high-register counterpoint to the articulate drum line in the front row, tasked with introducing and generating the rhythmic material, specifically the theme in the snare drum, and counterpoint in the bongos, field, and bass drums. Varese then introduces the piano, glockenspiel, and chimes, tricking the listener into thinking there have been pitched instruments all along. By presenting these pitched sounds at the end of the work, he convinces the listener that all presented timbres are equal, thereby repudiating the pitch-centric tonal traditions of earlier European music.
Greetings from Colorado.